Hello, it's Terri from Danu's Irish Herb Garden, and I just thought I'd show you some of the projects we're working on at the moment. We had a really severe wind a couple of weeks ago which burned a lot of our trees and shrubs, and so up here on this little mound we're going to put a mound of earth because this is mainly rock. It's very difficult to get anything planted into it, so I've trimmed it all down. And just behind these rose bushes, and you see it's quite high, so it gets a lot of wind. Look at this poor little tree. It's burned to a crisp with the salt wind, which comes, the sea is, you can see the sea today, it's just over there, the Atlantic Ocean. And the wind whips in and it burns because of the salt content. So we're going to put a mound of earth along here, parallel to these rose bushes, and leave it to rest and settle. And then in the autumn, we'll plant it up with bare-rooted hedging. And hopefully as that grows, it will give some wind protection to the area down here, down below, where we're intending to put more vegetable beds. So this is the lovely mound of earth that we just had delivered, and we're going to transport this over to there, to the ridge near the rose bushes, so that we can plant the hedging. And then we should have enough shelter to create more lasagna beds. And we'll show you a film of how we did this. It's a permaculture idea from Jeff Lawton, and it's basically just lasagna layers of different types of organic material. So we've used cow dung, seaweed, cardboard and homemade compost, all in different layers, and then we've just planted into the top of it. And it seems to be quite successful. You can see the layers there, but also this potato bed was once a lasagna bed, and it just, everything rots down and creates beautiful earth, and we didn't have any earth before because it's basically rock that we're growing on. So we always collect plenty of cardboard before we start making these lasagna beds. I get large packing boxes from a shop in Clifton, Stanley's. Otherwise, I can collect it from the local shops in Ballyconneely. And the cardboard is important because that's what creates the layers and separates all the different layers. So I put down the cardboard first, and I like to make sure it's all overlapping, especially with these little bits, because we don't want the light to get through to the ground for the weeds coming up again. Take off all the sellotape and the plastic wrapping because I don't want the plants to be plasticized. And then it's time to put down your first layer of organic material. So I'm using seaweed here, but you could use kitchen waste, compost, garden trimmings and cuttings, anything that is of no use but is organic. And there's no way to put this on, you just throw it on and it just builds up in a bed. In between each layer, I hose it down and get it very wet. And the point of that is that the water in between the layers creates, I don't know, it's very scientific, but it creates a thermal mass, a thermal something or other, which helps everything to begin to rot much more quickly. And as it rots, it generates more heat. So again, it's helping your plants to grow. So I'm putting on grass cuttings as well. In this particular bed, it's seaweed, grass cuttings, and the cardboard, of course. Every other layer or so is cardboard. You see, that's adding a bit of carbon into the mix, because if it was just the wet dung and grass cuttings and the like, it would be mainly nitrogen. So you're getting a blend of chemicals. So the dung is on next, And it's basically, you just keep going until you build up the bed shape. Keep watering in between the layers. And then I finish off with a layer of compost, homemade preferably, because then I know what's in it. Otherwise, shop compost. In fact, sometimes I will put shop-bought compost on top because it might be a bit finer. It might just suit young plants a little bit better. So they are not going to touch the dung because they're planted into cardboard and into the compost, which is on the top. So they're not going to be burned by the dung that's a little bit fresh. And they just grow away because of the lovely heat. So even if it's going to be frosty, they're going to do quite well. This is another project that we're working on. It's Hugelkultur, and it's another permaculture idea. And basically you lay down your rotting logs. These are very old rotting logs. I don't even know where they came from. We've backfilled it with garden waste and grass cuttings, topped it off with some topsoil and some human manure, and I'm going to put a little bit more of the new rich topsoil that we've got. Plant a couple of plants. I've got a rose of Sharon, which is a hypericum, and I've got these wonderful ajuga reptans, which give great ground cover. And the idea is I'm going to cover all of these logs as well, and they will rot away inside the earth, and the heat generated from them rotting helps your plants to grow on the top. And the guy who invented this lives up the mountains and grows lemon trees. So it's a very effective way of creating rapid growth in your garden. And it looked like this before, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Going to trim back all the briars. I've trimmed it, so I'm going to rake that down. There's a couple of little violets in here that I want to dig out. And then there's 2 logs over there, which I'm going to lay across and do the same thing. And on this side, I'm going to plant some fruit bushes. So we should have beautiful fruit from here next summer, and a beautiful, colourful shrub over here, just to add some more variety and diversity into the garden. And then what I intend to do is, do you see here, we've got a kind of step, little nooks and crannies, so they can all be planted up as well, maybe with strawberries or maybe with some herbs or whatever takes my fancy when I get to that point. But it's really just trying to bring more life into the garden to compensate for all the burning of the trees. Hopefully they'll survive. Hopefully they'll be okay. I mean, it's happened to them before. It's just a bit disheartening when you see it and you see the state of them when they were doing so well and they were looking so vibrant and green, and now they're looking brown and shriveled. So just got to stay hopeful and keep working to create more beauty and more food for ourselves and for others. And it's a constant work in progress, which is basically what our life is, and so that's why we love it so much. So it's just another idea to try, another permaculture idea along with the idea of the lasagna beds. So it's just another way of saying, don't feel disheartened if you feel you don't have enough land. That could be done in miniature. It's basically just a rotting log with some earth on top of it. You could have it on the corner of a balcony. So that's it from me today. Have a wonderful few days until the next time I see you, and enjoy the weather. It's a bit changeable here in Connemara. Bye!